Hi there everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Arisa and you might know me from my Instagram at Saturn Revolution. This is my very first YouTube video. I've been postponing this for a really long time, and as someone with Saturn in third house, postponing is not the way to go. So I was like, let's just do it. Currently, astrologically, we are, as I'm filming this, we are in the Mercury pre-shadow period, which means that there are some things happening and I had to refilm the video, but we're still doing it. So let's get into it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Larisa Vasile and I'm from Transylvania, Romania. I am a full-time astrologer and content creator as well as tarot reader. I started my spiritual journey around 6 years ago with tarot, and then it evolved into astrology. So I've been doing astrology for about 4 years, and then last year I decided to quit my job and go full-time. So I'm really excited to embark on this new journey with you in here. I call myself an intuitive astrologer because the way I do my readings is very much based on the energy I'm feeling from the other person. So I am psychic and I use astrology just as a tool to go a little bit deeper into the energy of someone. So if you're interested in discovering my readings, the link is in the description. So what is your Saturn return? As someone who has a Capricorn rising, Saturn has been living on my shoulders my whole life, so I'm dedicating to uncovering Saturn. I really think that Saturn has a bad rep. However, it is a catalyst for growth. Saturn return is the moment when Saturn goes back in the same sign it was when we were born, and it usually happens every 27 to 30 years. The exact time really depends on your specific birth chart, and we are going to calculate that in this video, so stay tuned for that. So your first Saturn return happens when you are 27 to 30. And the second Saturn return happens when you are 57 to 60, and there's another one in your late 80s as well. Saturn symbolizes resilience, responsibility, and growth. So that is why people associate the age of 30 with maturing, because that is literally the moment when we start to go into adulthood. Basically, your Saturn return is your entering into adulthood officially. Often people fear their Saturn return. However, based on my client readings, I have often observed that people feel more confident after their Saturn return. I haven't been through it yet. I'm very close to my Saturn return. However, I do believe that your Saturn return is actually a point in which you're gaining clarity of your life, a point in which you are realizing what your priorities are and what your priorities aren't. So even if it seems a little bit shaky while you're going through it, it's actually a blessing in disguise. Saturn return is a point of returning to yourself, a point of returning to your authenticity. So the area, the house you have Saturn in, is the side of you that has always felt misunderstood. It has felt left out. There has been some kind of restriction in that area of your life. However, your Saturn return is your opportunity to gain back authority within that area of your life and be like, no, this is not happening on my watch. I'm ready to take responsibility for everything that has happened so far until here. And I know that I'm the only one responsible for things to be getting better in this area of my life. And when Saturn sees that you have this attitude, when Saturn sees that you're ready to take responsibility and you're ready to do whatever it takes to connect more with yourself and to not let, every day kind of bring you down on your path, that's when Saturn rewards you, and Saturn is actually the one that helps you achieve that path forward. To figure out how your Saturn return is going to be like, look at how much effort you have put into your life until now, specifically in the area where you have your Saturn. If you feel like you have constantly been working and putting in effort in that area of your life, however, there were no rewards, it is likely that your Saturn return is going to bring in those rewards that you've been waiting for because you were patient with them. However, if you feel like you've been slacking in that area of your life, or you have been postponing things or not taking responsibility responsibility for it, your Saturn return is going to be the one that's going to push you forward into taking responsibility for those things. It's going to be like now or never. You have no other choice. If you have a Capricorn rising like me, or even an Aquarius rising, they're both ruled by Saturn, which means that your Saturn return is likely to be a little bit easier because your whole life you have been living with Saturn on your shoulders. So you're very used to this energy. You're very used to the restriction of Saturn. You have already gained the tools that you need in order to be resilient with it. So I do see that for these people, their Saturn return is likely better than for other rising signs because they have already endured a lot during their life up until now. The way that Saturn is being felt while you're going through it is as though a lot of the things that you used to resonate with, especially in the area where you have your Saturn in your chart, don't resonate with you anymore. You are starting to change your priorities. And because you're starting to change your priorities, you're going to need to make some external changes into your life as well in order to match those priorities. So that can be in the form of friendships and maybe losing some friendships, maybe changing some friendships, gaining new friendships. That can be in the form of relationships as well. It can be in the form of your career or your job, especially if you have Saturn in the 10th house. Maybe a career that you thought was always going to be your career is going to change. So this is why it feels a little bit scary. However, it is a very pivotal moment for growth. It is the moment when you are actually following your true calling, your true path, and you're aligning with your authenticity. And instead of looking at it as like, oh my God, my life is falling apart, just look at it as like, I get to make my own rules now. Even if you feel like you don't know where you're going, but you still believe that wherever you are going is the right way because you have the ability to make the right decisions for yourself, that is one way to go through your Saturn return successfully. To calculate your exact date for your Saturn return, go on AstroSeek Saturn return calculator, type in your birth time and date. The link is going to be below. And this is going to lead you to the exact date that your Saturn is going to come back into the same exact degree it was when you were born. The date that you see in this calendar is actually just the peak of your Saturn return. However, your whole Saturn return experience lasts from about 2.5 years to 3 years. So in order to calculate when your Saturn return is going to happen, you just have to use an astrology calculator. I'm going to leave a link. Check what sign Saturn is in right now. And if it's in the same sign as your Saturn sign, that means that you are currently going through your return. If it's in the sign before your Saturn sign, that means that you're about to go into your Saturn return pretty soon. For example, my Saturn is in Aries. Right now in the sky, Saturn is in Pisces, but Saturn is going to go into Aries in 2025 for a brief time next year. And that is when I'm going to start my Saturn return, but it will be just like a sneak peek of it. However, my actual Saturn return peak is going to be happening in March 2026. So your whole Saturn return period of 2.5 years or 3 years is really important to your growth. However, your peak is the moment when your Saturn return is going to be the catalyst for a change. It might come in the form of a breakthrough. It might come in the form of a realization. It doesn't necessarily have to be, this huge external event. It can also be something internal. It might come in the form of a change within your life. So it can be in the form of you quitting your job, you having a realization about wanting to travel the world, you wanting to start a family, you wanting to leave a relationship. It can just come in the form of some sort of a shift that's either internal or external, and that is related to the area that you have Saturn in. The best way to go through your Saturn return peak is to accept it, and it's to take ownership over it and to start looking for the future, or to start looking for solutions, or to start taking a step forward in the direction that Saturn actually is guiding you towards, because it is likely that that is part of your purpose. Now let's get into each Saturn return for your specific placement. Just skip to the part and the house that you have Saturn in your natal chart. If you're a little bit more advanced into astrology and you're wondering if you should use whole sign or Placidus for this video, just use whatever you resonate with. If your Saturn is in your first house, that means that your Saturn return is going to be about finding a new sense of self. It's likely that you felt misunderstood your whole life, so this is a time to not even try to be understood, but still do the things you wanted to do anyway. Around this time, you are rediscovering who you are. You are rediscovering what are your priorities and what are the things that you don't tolerate anymore when it comes to your persona, when it comes to your identity, when it comes to your appearance. You might actually be changing your appearance by the end of your Saturn return, and you might be unrecognizable. There might be some changes in your style, changes in the way you present yourself in the room, changes in your body and physical appearance as well. So if you want to change something about your physical appearance, for example, you want to start going to the gym more, or you want to get, like a new hairstyle or improve your skin, for example, with Saturn in the first house, it's a really good time for you to do that. So you can start at the beginning of your Saturn return, and then towards the end of your Saturn return, your consistency is going to be rewarded and you're actually going to see significant results. You're also going to stop caring as much about what other people think of you. If this was some kind of an obstacle that was keeping you before from doing the thing that you want, from standing up for yourself, from opening up, from putting yourself out there, now this is a time when this won't be an obstacle anymore, because you're going to be pushed into putting yourself out there more. It's definitely going to feel like an ego debt. So everything that you thought you are is definitely going to change. So that's why it feels very difficult to undergo, because maybe if some people were attached to the identity that you thought you had, some people might also need to go because they don't align with your priorities anymore. However, you should definitely keep relying on yourself during this time and see yourself as the authority of your own life. You are the decision maker here. Do not forget that. If you have Saturn in your second house, then your Saturn return is going to be about newly found financial foundations and also a change in your values. It's likely that you have always felt like it's hard for you to do something on your own or build something of your own. Like it's hard for you in this realm of finances or career to be on the same page or on the same level as other people. So this is a time to not care about being on the same level as other people and focus on doing your thing. So that way you get on even a higher level than them. So if you had a set of values up until this point, after your Saturn return, you're going to see that your values have completely changed. So if there is something that you want to change when it comes to the things that you value, for example, maybe you used to not value money before. However, you're realizing that money is something that is part of your value, because that is a great way for you to call money in. Maybe you're going to change your perspective about your finances, about money, about what money means to you, about maybe money being just more than a material gain, but actually being freedom, actually being an emotion that you want to call into your life a lot more. It is a great time for you to set foundations, especially related to finances. You could be starting a business around this time, around your Saturn return. Definitely, it's not going to go from the beginning as quickly in growth as you might want it to, because Saturn moves a little bit slow. However, if you keep on being consistent with it, you're really going to be rewarded with finances towards the end of this transit, or you're going to be rewarded with you having built your own business. You're going to be rewarded with you having built a new foundation for yourself. Maybe around your Saturn return, you're wanting to make a huge purchase. This is a good time to do it. However, you just have to be careful to be resilient with it, because it might not work from the beginning, but by the end of your Saturn return, you might buy a new home, you might buy a new car, you might relocate yourself into a new place. Most important thing about your Saturn return is to always get back to what is it that gives you a sense of comfort, but at the same time to keep in mind that in order to gain that comfort into your life and the luxury of comfort in your life, you need to go through discomfort first. If you have Saturn in the third house like me, it is likely that you have always found it hard to express yourself. You have always found yourself being judged by the things you say, not being taken seriously when it comes to the things you say. Maybe you were bullied in school or you had a hard time growing up in school. So your Saturn return is all about gaining back that authority and trust within yourself and changing your mindset in such a way that it doesn't matter what other people think, what they say, if they believe you, if they don't believe you, if they listen to you, if they don't want to listen to you, you're still going to be shouting from your lungs and using your voice in order to stand up for the things that you believe in. So your Saturn return is going to feel like your mindset is changing, like you have a newfound sense of understanding of your environment, like certain things in your environment do not even need to be there anymore because you are aligning with your authentic self, and your voice is the thing that you need to rely on. So you might be starting to teach people things around this time. Maybe you're going to start being a teacher, a mentor, a coach around this time. Maybe you're going to start to use your voice in order to make an impact. Maybe you're going to start writing if you're a writer around this time. It is a great time for you to express who you are authentically. And that is obviously going to come with some consequences of some things that are going to be left behind. However, these things that are welcomed into your life are going to make you feel more aligned with yourself. If you have Saturn in your fourth house, it is likely that you always felt like there was something missing within your foundation, within your home. Maybe you had a hard time as a child growing up. Maybe there was something lacking within your family. Maybe sometimes you're wanting to build your own family, but you're finding it hard to, or there's some obstacles or some restrictions that are getting in the way. Maybe you're just wanting to buy a home and it's again a little bit difficult to just feel at home in certain places. So your Saturn return, it's not about looking for other people to accept you into their home or for other people to be okay with you and your foundations and so on. It is about you being okay with where you're at and being okay with realizing that you are the one that's building your own foundation, and it doesn't matter what other people are thinking or saying. It is a lot more about your ability to find your roots wherever you are. And this could indicate you relocating around your Saturn return. It can indicate you making a big purchase around your Saturn return. It can indicate you going forward and trusting yourself when it comes to matters of home. And it can also indicate breaking some family patterns, which can obviously distance yourself, or it can create a close connection. It depends on how it was until now with your family. So it's a time when you're really letting go of those shadow aspects that you grew up around in order to embrace new pathways and to actually change your generational lineage, and you are actually making a lot of good change for people that are to come within your family looking forward as well. You have Saturn in your fifth house. That means that you have always found it a little bit hard to see the value of your talents, or you have always found it hard to make other people value your talents or see your talents, or you have found it hard to cultivate or keep on going with your talents. This can also play out in the area of your relationships. Maybe you have always found it hard to date, or maybe dating has brought some sort of a seriousness to it and there was a lack of play, a lack of fun. Maybe you felt like you missed out on a lot of things that were fun, a lot of the idea of pleasure, and you're always very, very stressed out. So your Saturn return is going to be about being able to allow more fun into your life, but in a way that is disciplined. So anything that has been making you feel good until now, especially anything that was making you feel good around your childhood. So for example, maybe when you were a child, you loved playing the piano, for example. So around your Saturn return, you're going to find yourself doing more of those things that you loved doing as a child. And you might even cultivate these talents that you have been postponing for so long in such a way that it helps you build a career from your talents. You're going to invite more play into your dating life, and that is going to help you invite more people that are aligned with your authenticity when it comes to your dating life. So this transit for you should actually be fun, and the more you relax yourself, the more you take things with laughter around this time, and the more you just enjoy where you are instead of looking at the changes that are happening around you as setbacks, but looking at them as, wow, I'm so curious of what the future is about to bring me. That is a really good way for your Saturn return to help you to find a discipline around your idea of joy, and to even find times within your day when you are enjoying yourself. This could also be related to your physical intimacy as well, which could be improving around this time. If you have Saturn in your 6th house, that means that up until now, you have stressed yourself out a lot, and maybe it was a little bit hard for you to find your discipline, or maybe you were always just being so hard on yourself when it comes to your daily life. Maybe because of that, you have let your job get in the way of you having a good time. Maybe you have welcomed into your life some more karmic experiences when it comes to your working space as well. It is a little bit hard for you to figure out what your routine is. Maybe you've also had a hard time when it comes to your health, because the 6th house is connected to our daily life. So Saturn is making it a little bit harder for you to live your daily life the way that you want it to. Your Saturn return, it's the time when you are claiming your authority into this life. So it's the time when you're actually realizing, wait, I'm not a slave to my job, to my routine, to my life and my daily experiences, but I'm actually the creator of those things. So I can choose who is getting into my personal space. I can choose what experiences are influencing my health, my well-being, my lifestyle. This is a great time for you to start a habit that you've always found a hard time with, and to actually completely change your life by the end of your Saturn return with small daily steps. So it's likely that your Saturn return is going to completely change your lifestyle and your well-being. So you really have to focus on discipline and also set a lot of boundaries in your daily life. If you have Saturn in your 7th house, that means that your Saturn has always influenced your relationships. So there has always been a little bit of a hard time to connect with others when it comes to partnerships. Maybe you have had long-term partnerships until now, or maybe it was very hard for you to have partnerships in general until now. So it can manifest in 2 different ways depending on your chart. However, no matter where you are, sometimes you need to allow more balance to come into your life, especially within your relationship. So this is what your Saturn return is helping you do. Whatever was imbalanced into your love life until now is going to automatically get balanced, because the 7th house is ruled by Libra. So it's all about finding balance. And this can come in the form of the dynamic of some relationships changing, which doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It can be taking a relationship to the next level. It can come in the form of marriage. It can come in the form of getting engaged, buying a home, moving in together, things like that. Or it can come in the form of a relationship that wasn't necessarily good for you, or it wasn't resonating with your authenticity, leaving. It can also come in the form of maybe a business partnership changing, or a business partnership beginning around this time. Whatever is happening right now is just a balancing of an energy that has been completely out of balance for a long time. So you're actually going to feel much better after your Saturn return, even if in the moment it's going to feel like a huge change. If you have Saturn in your 8th house, it is likely that until now you found it hard to be vulnerable with those around you or to open up. Around your Saturn return, you are realizing the importance of deep connections with people, especially when it comes to partnerships, but also when it comes to friendships or any other close relationship in your life. And around this time, it might be a time when you are starting to be a little bit more open about the things you share about yourself, because you're realizing that that is the one thing that's actually getting you closer to those around you. If you have dealt with a hard time when it comes to shared resources until now, like let's say you have shared money with someone else and things have been more focused on power play than money, then definitely the relationship around money or around shared resources is going to change around this time. Or some debt that you had to pay until now is going to be paid off. But again, it really requires for you to put in the effort and for you to maybe take on a little bit more responsibility around this time in order for you to be able to pay off those debts. Your Saturn return is also very transformative from deep inside out. So there's a lot of things that you used to attach yourself emotionally with, especially if you are the type to get a little bit obsessive about certain things. Your Saturn return is definitely going to help you find more discipline that is not so obsessive over one thing, but that it's more focused inward rather than an external reality. If you have Saturn in your 9th house, it is likely that you felt restricted until now when it comes to exploring your life, when it comes to travel, when it comes to higher education to some extent, when it comes to just trusting your beliefs and exploring life in general and being adventurous. So your Saturn return is going to help you be adventurous, but also in a very disciplined way. So you might actually start planning your travels a lot more. You might be traveling around more after your Saturn return or during your Saturn return. And these are going to be very important experiences for you changing your beliefs. It's going to be a new philosophy of life that you are adopting around this time. So if maybe you've had a hard time with education or studying until now, you could actually be studying something new around your Saturn return or after your Saturn return, and you're getting a do-over around it, and it's really helping you get to know yourself better and cultivate a stronger sense of knowledge. If you have Saturn in your 10th house, that means that until now you've had a hard time when it comes to your career. Maybe some of your goals were not working out. Maybe you felt like things were moving a little bit slower than everyone else. Maybe you've had a hard time with your boss or authority in general. This could also portray to a hard time with a father figure too. Around your Saturn return, it's a time when you are learning how to cultivate a sense of responsibility for your career. So instead of waiting for external experiences and jobs to get better for you, you are going to be the one who's going to have to be like, no, I'm taking the matter in my own hands. I am starting a new career. I'm starting a business. I'm looking for a new job. I am maybe becoming the boss, I'm going in a management position. There is a major change that needs to be happening within your career, and it's definitely going to shape the way you move forward within your public image as well. If you have Saturn in the 11th house, that means that so far into your life, maybe you have felt misunderstood, you have felt left out, like you don't really belong to maybe a friends group or a community, or it was always hard to make friends. So around your Saturn return, it's a time when you are making friends in a more disciplined way. You might join a community of people that meet up every week, every month. You might go on a retreat and make new friends. It is just that kind of an understanding of connecting with like-minded people. And the reason why you felt misunderstood so far is because you are not looking around the right places for people that you actually resonate with and that you actually share your vision with. So this is a great time for you to join a community. It's a great time for you to build new friendships, but you have to make an effort for it. You have to join that community. You have to go out and meet those people, make those friends. It's a really good time that if you take advantage of it, you're really going to feel yourself more content into this idea of belonging somewhere. But it's also about not really caring how other people perceive you and just being your authentic self, expressing yourself, maybe expressing yourself online more around this time. It's about really finding your authority and putting it out there as just you knowing who you are and looking for people and attracting the same kind of energy that you are emanating. It's also a good time for you to set foundations for your future. If you have Saturn in your 12th house, that means that until now, Saturn for you has made it a little bit difficult to let things just happen. Maybe you have always been trying to control things, and that has made you feel really stressed out in general. So it feels like a really hard time in which you feel like you're not really having a grasp of your reality and you're just navigating and you don't know where you're going. So your Saturn return is asking you to trust yourself, and it's asking you to cultivate a very good ritual that is more spiritual, that connects more with your spirituality. So around this time, you might be starting yoga a lot more. You might be doing meditation, journaling, whatever practice you can find to always connect with and go back to. That is actually going to reward you, because you're not going to seek external experiences and just wait life to get better for you, but you're actually going to observe what things are happening and what things you can improve within your personal life. So it is likely that if you're going to be consistent with these rituals, your mental health is highly improving around this time, and you might make major shifts into your external reality as a result. Thank you guys so much for watching until now. I am so excited to start this new journey along you. So I would really love your feedback. I would really love to know what sort of topics or questions you have based on this video, what topics you want to see in the future, or what you're curious about, because I really love going in depth onto topics, as you know. So it is a really good opportunity for you to come up with ideas as I'm just starting out. I really believe in the power of having these conversations one-on-one, or having it through a personalized reading where I'm actually taking a look at your chart and I'm coming up with specific advice for your specific placement. So if you're interested in a reading, the link is below.